Here we go.
Hello, and welcome to the Notary Business Talk, the podcast dedicated to sharing ideas, strategies, and techniques to help grow your business and improve your life. And now, with more than 2 decades of notary business experience, your host, Abraham Zamora, the notary entrepreneur.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Notary Business Talk. My name is Abraham Zamora, and I am the notary entrepreneur. In today's episode, we're going to discuss whether making 6 figures should be your goal as a notary business owner. And the reason that I'm bringing up this topic today is because it seems like everywhere we go, and listen, there's a lot of trainers out there, good trainers, some not so good trainers, but there's a lot of trainers. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to decide who we're going to go with and which trainer we should choose to learn this craft of being a notary. Unfortunately, it seems like lately we've been saturated with this sort of promise that being a notary is going to magically make you 6 figures and it's going to solve all your problems. And I mean, it's one of those things where I have a hard time hearing people say that to other people who are really looking for an opportunity to make business, to make a career, to generate additional income. And so today we're going to talk about what it actually looks like to have a 6-figure income notary business and whether that should even be something you should be striving for, if it's something that you should actually be focused on as your goal when starting or choosing to grow your notary business. So today, joining us as a guest, as usual, is Ronnie Mickle. And for those of you who don't know, Ronnie's a regular contributor to this show, but I'll introduce you guys again to him because some of you may be new to the show. Ronnie is the original founder and co-owner of Unlimited Ink Notary, which is a nationwide notary signing service company. And he's also the founder of Notary Stars, which is a website dedicated to helping notaries learn and basically teaches people how to grow their business and become better at notaries. So with that said, Ronnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I love being here. You know, I think we've been doing this for about a year now, a little over a year, I think. We started filming, it was spotting at the beginning, and I love what you've done with Notary Business Talk, and I love the evolution that I've seen. You've really become, a beloved guest at Notary Stars. I know our users, I get emails, telling me, I love when you guys do podcasts together, and then they get specific too, like, I love Abraham and all those things. And I really think that people connect with you a lot because I believe your heart is pure. Our relationship goes back, whether people listening know or not. When I went nationwide with my company, Abraham was the first notary I ever hired on a notary, on a nationwide notary. And I called you and said, you cannot mess this up for me. Like, you have to knock this out of the park, what you did. And, it spawned a long-term relationship between us as colleagues. And so, I love being here because I've seen, as I've grown as a business owner and as I've grown as a mentor, I've also seen you do the same. And so it's just amazing to see where we both are now, not only running our businesses, but also helping other people. And I love that you've stayed like-minded, which brings us to the topic that we're actually going for today, because I think we're really like-minded on this as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now that you just said that, it reminded me of when I first started this podcast, which is about, I think about 2 years ago. And just like every other notary that's out there working day in and day out, I was a regular notary just doing loan signings, and this is what I did. And then all of a sudden I said to myself, I'd like to give back. I had a lot of people who helped me and mentored me along the way. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, but after that initial conversation we had, it had been really slow for me. And you had said, hey, so, and you called me, right? You called me personally. You're the owner of a signing company. I'm like, wow. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but you said, hey, how's business for you? Thank you for doing this for me. I really appreciate you. And you had like a full-blown 1-hour conversation. I remember I was in the kitchen next to the microwave thinking, this guy is like calling me and talking to me for an hour. And you told me, hey, sign up on this platform, get this training. I think it'll help you with your business and it'll get you more work. I did that. It worked. I was like, wow, like I want to do what he's doing, right? I want to do what Ronnie's doing, how he reached out and helped me. Didn't ask for anything, didn't want any money for an exchange. So that initially inspired me to start doing the podcast. And I've been doing this podcast for over 2 years, just out of really a hobby, right? I haven't tried, if you guys have listened to the show, I haven't tried to sell a product or a course at the end of the meeting. It's been just pure out of trying to help out. But recently I've decided this seems to be really helping people out. I get the calls, I get the emails, and I think I want to do more of it. I want to be able to help more in this community. And so I'm going to announce it now, Ronnie, because it's interesting. In fact, it's to give you a shout out. Recently, as of yesterday, I started a Patreon account. And the purpose of the Patreon account is to help any of you who get value out of the show to support my work. I've preached value for value. Trade value for value with people. If you feel you're getting something from them, you should trade that value back, right? So for those of you who have expressed your interest in adding value back to me, or how can you do something for me? How can you help me? I've created an opportunity to do that. And that's my Patreon account. On top of that, I've noticed that this podcast is sort of a one-way conversation. You guys hear me, you guys hear Ronnie chit-chatting to you guys, but it's very one-sided. And so in an effort to try and give you guys an opportunity to have a more meaningful connection with me, I'm going to build a community around this podcast. So if you go to patreon.com/notary, you'll be able to sign up for the community. It doesn't cost you guys anything to sign up for the community. You're going to get regular updates, and just if I feel like talking about something on my phone, I'm going to mention it and you guys will be able to sort of see that on there. For those of you who actually want to support the show and actually help out and help me financially to continue these shows and be able to add value to you guys, then I would encourage you to go check that out. You're going to get extra perks. You're going to be able to, message me directly. You're going to get early access to a lot of these podcasts, maybe a special episodes that only you members will be able to actually listen to and tune into. So I won't talk too much about it, Ronnie, but for those of you who want to help me out and get value out of this, wish to support the work that I'm doing, I encourage you guys to go to patreon.com/notary to get more information. And I also want to talk about Notary Stars before we get into this topic, Ronnie. So a lot of people have been asking me about Notary Stars, and they'll reach out to me and say, well, what does Notary Stars do? Like, what do they actually teach? And I was thinking, Ronnie, that it might be a good idea if you and I maybe do a video where we sort of let people know what Notary Stars actually has to offer. And that way people can take a look and I can direct them that way. Is that something you'd be willing to do with me, Ronnie?
Absolutely. Yes, we can definitely put that on the calendar. In a nutshell, we train on every loan product under the sun through previously recorded videos. We don't just give you a buyer and a refinance or a seller. We go through, if it's signing in a trust, if it's a HELOC, if there's a combination, if it's a split signing, if it's FKA language, you name the scenario, we have already filmed it. And if we don't have it and it comes up, we film it and we create a class on it. We teach live 4 days a week. We have 5 sessions a week, teach 4 days a week. But I would love to share the screen and, go walk you through this website. Because I think sometimes when we get new members, we got 86 new members this month, which is like phenomenal. And we're, that's just in the last 30 days. I think people get here and then they go, I had no idea. Because you go to a website and if you're not a member and you don't have that unlocked, look at it. So I'd love to just, unlock it, walk through and show what's under the hood and what you actually get, in turn for the payment of it. So yes, we can absolutely schedule that.
Let's do that. And also, let me just say something real quick, and I'm going to be able to brag about this for the rest of my life. So Ronnie has officially become a Patreon member, and he is supporting the work I do. He's my first member ever. So you have now been bestowed with that honor, Ronnie. And since I started,
I have to say this, you gave me a lot of praise before we even started the podcast, and not to put you, like you're not special, because you're a very good colleague of mine and I consider you a personal friend as well. But I have to say that I always try to invest in anyone. So if they've ever been on Notary Stars and they bring something, I always buy it with my personal funds and check it out. And then I feel like I can then tell people, yes, go do this. When you were explaining things, and I want to give you a little bit of an encouragement, this is what being a notary community is all about. Lifting up your fellow notary, especially those that are trying to like dig for information and bring it back to you and put it on a silver platter, so to speak. Like you do, you really work hard at trying to understand things. And, I know that you've utilized your resources at Notary Stars and with Beth and all of those things and other trainers so that you can explain things to people. What you're charging is, a very, very fair rate for the exchange of information. Information is valuable. The more you know, the more you learn, the more you earn is my go-to phrase. And so, I'm very proud to invest in you, as a fellow notary, for somebody that I see as doing no harm while they're, helping other people. It does cost money to run a business of education. And, unfortunately, education can become very expensive for the educator. Putting things together, putting together episodes, putting together instructors, putting together, staying up late, that needs to be compensated. So, I feel very proud to invest in you. And, that's why is often, I know I'm on your platform today, but that's why I give you a chance at Notary Stars, any chance I can, to bring you into the fold or the mixer and try to introduce you to other people, because I feel like as an educator, you are following my personal motto, which is, help but do no harm. That's the key, because we're not selling the idea of success. We're selling the truth of the industry. And I really, really appreciate that about you. And that makes me want to invest in you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate you, Ronnie. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of segue our conversation into what we do see out in the industry, right? And we do see a lot of times trainers. There's good trainers, there's bad trainers, there's trainers in between. But it seems like lately, ever since COVID, perhaps, we've seen this flood of marketing promising notaries that if they take their course or if they sign up for this or do that, they're going to make six figures and, $16,000 a month and all this. And, when I have conversations with notaries, when I hop on Zoom calls or get on the phone with somebody, that's just so far-fetched for a lot of people. And the question is that really realistic? And what should be a realistic goal or view of the building a business as a notary? Ronnie, what are your thoughts about sort of this idea of promising six figures? Is that, what are your thoughts about that? I guess I could start there.
Well, I'll tell you the truth about it. It's absolutely fabricated. The National Notary Association did a real study, like the association that we all need to look at. I think it's something around 3 to 6% of notaries actually only make six figures, and the rest of the people don't. And I have a blog article coming out to accompany this podcast that we do.
Right.
First of all, I want everyone to understand that when you hear the term make six figures, it's pulling on that little heartstring of success. And I made $10,000 and I made $16,000, and all these YouTube pop-ups that are getting so many likes and views are usually promoted first with a sponsored ad, and then they get all the likes. There's some of these channels have like ridiculous amounts of followers. There's not even that many signing agents in the entire country. Okay. They have like triple the amount of actual signing agents in the country. They're pulling in new members constantly. And these affiliate links, we're living in an age of affiliate marketing. So, I'm not pinpointing anyone out there, not pinpointing any particular course. I know a lot of people think that I do, but I'm not. It is affiliate marketing. Whenever you see those videos and they invite you to check the description below, they are selling you something. And when you click on that link, it is an affiliate link. It tracks your phone, it tracks your computer until you buy the product, usually 30, 60, 90 days. And, you can Google the name of a lot of courses and say, this course affiliate program, and then you will see them bragging about how much you can make to sell the course. At the current rates of some of the courses, $500 to $800, the person selling you the course is making $175 to $280. In order to reach your Instagram or your TikTok feed, they're only having to pay $50 to get 50,000 views on the actual thing. So do the math. If I make $280 and I promoted a video for $50, I'm still making $210, which is more than a loan signing agent actually generally makes for an appointment.
Sure.
So we're living in an age of affiliate marketing, and you have to think, if there's that much rigmarole, that's a whole business in itself, affiliate marketing. You know, that's not really loan signings. They may have loan signing agent training there, but what's the real value of what you're getting? And then ask yourself, do I need to make six figures?
Right.
You know, can I make six figures? You know, in the blog, I talk about, I mean, I just talked to a notary today, Abraham. Her biggest goal was to make $5,000 a month. That's not six figures. She said, you know, I just want to make 5,000. You know, I want to do general notary work. I want to do apostilles, and I want to do loan signings. And she said, you know what, I just want to make a comfortable 5,000. That's it. I'm not trying for, you know, 10,000 plus a month. And I see a problem in the industry where this whole term make six figures, the six-figure notary, is starting to make notaries forget about the journey between the day they start and where you could wind up. And my blog, you know, that goes along with this podcast is, you know, the road to success as a notary signing agent is personal. It's a personal journey. You get to decide what the destination is, what your success is. And to me, success as a signing agent is not revolving around a number. It just can't, because if only 3 to 6% of people can actually make six figures in reality, then everyone else's goal doing it is going to have to be something different, right? And there are a lot of retirees in this community, a lot of college students now that are putting their way through college that don't need to make six figures because they're focused on something else. This is just a good, safe job for them. So why are we forgetting the journey in between of what success is in between, right? And that's what I'm really hoping to hash out, you know, here today in the podcast is, you know, success is not a destination, it's a journey.
Well,
Yeah.
and success can mean stuff, you know, different things for different people. And I just got to say this because it's hearing you talk the way you're talking. I'm getting emotional, right? In a negative way. There are people out there like yourself. I like to consider myself as someone who's really trying to help notaries out. And listen, I am somebody who goes out of my way to reach out to people. If a notary reaches out to me, emails me, instant messages me, I try to get on the phone with them. I want to figure out what they're going through. That's why I'm doing this community, because I want to connect with you guys. And it ticks me off because I think this attitude about six figure notaries, it's making people like us, it's sort of lumping us into this group, and it's making us look bad. And I'll tell you why, because it's not helping. It's not helping the people who are trying to become successful in this. I had a guy who I spoke with. He reached out to me. We did an episode a few episodes back where I had him on the show. His name's JC. He's from Texas. And we were talking. I said, hey, man, what's your goal? What are you trying to do with this, right? What is the purpose of trying to start your business? And he's just telling me, look, man, I want to have more time with my family. My daughter lives in Florida. I'd like to be able to pay to have her come down here every now and then. And she's grown up. I mean, she's you know, in her 20s, his daughter. And he goes, you know, I work for the state, but I'd like to have something that I could have as a backup in case my job doesn't go well. I don't plan on quitting my job. I want to do this on the side, part-time. I said, how much would you like to make every month? He tells me. He goes, $1,500 a month would be phenomenal. I said, okay, great. I said, how about we start a little smaller? Maybe start with $500 and let's try and get to that first. Mm-hmm. The second I told him that, Ronnie, it's almost like I lifted 1,000 pounds of weight off his shoulders. He was like, yeah, okay, that doesn't seem that hard. Sometimes this idea of this promise of making a whole lot of money is just putting way too much pressure on notaries to the point where it immobilizes them to not do anything because it seems so far-fetched. And then they get nothing out of it. And,
you know, Abraham, I agree with this 100,000%. And the one thing that I want to point out to add on top of that story is there are people who go to 4 years of college.
Yeah.
For a specialty, you know, and they spend $100,000 of loans, get out, and then they don't make that right away because then they have to gain their experience. I'm not saying that becoming a notary is turnkey, because it's not. but it's definitely a lot easier than going to 4 years of school or 8 years of school and then turning around and getting experience. You know, that's a whole decade of life to get into a workforce. Now, can you get into this industry and within a few years hit that 6-figure mark if you're in the right area, you don't have state laws against you, all of those things? Absolutely. But that's another problem I have, is that the whole make 6-figure mentality is promised something that is not going to happen immediately. And then, you know, there's this episode of Sex and the City where Charlotte goes, and I wish I knew it verbatim, because there's like a speaker there, and that she goes and she asks the speaker, it's all about affirmations and you can get a relationship and other things. But let's say that work is a relationship, right? And she goes and she asks the speaker, she says, I've been doing my affirmations every day and it's not working. And then the speaker says, well, you're not doing them enough. You're not doing them hard enough. And I feel like that's what or some people are creating in the notary industry by saying 6 figures, pay me $800, you're $900, $1,000, $1,500, and you'll make 6 figures. That's not how it works. It's just not how it works. And it's got to stop. It's really got to, you know, we've got to come back to reality. And you can market, but still, the National Notary Association, since this whole 6-figure mentality started 7, 8, 9 years ago, has come around, still only 3 to 6% of people actually make 6 figures.
Right.
And, you know, during the pandemic, we cannot judge this career or this career path because it was literally a different world. Interest rates were at an all-time low, not just a reset time low, but like an all-time low. They'll never be that way again. And we're on our way back for sure to, you know, to the greatness of this career. And I appreciate all the notaries that are still in the industry that didn't give up, that are starting to see that come back. But we've got to be realistic with ourselves on what success is. And I love that we're starting this right here in September. This was not planned, by the way, between you and me or with the viewers. But we're now coming up on fourth quarter. We have less than 30 days before we go into the fourth quarter of the year, October, November, December. And that's when we start talking about goal settings.
Right.
So this is the perfect time. Like, this is so serendipitous to me to be talking about what is success and kind of put a mental fix on, because next year we're going to go through an election year. You know, they're trying to get the interest rates down. The market's already coming back. Those who are here that are toughed it out are really about to see what the reality of this career can be, which is beautiful, whether you're making 6 figures or not. Talking about spending more time with your family, talking about having, you know, the money to pay off credit card bills. Doesn't matter if you're full-time or part-time, there's a place for you here. And there's plenty of business to go around, but you have to know how to navigate that. And you also need to know what success is. It is not a monetary figure.
Yes. And that is my point. And we're going to get into what it looks like to be successful and the things we have to do. And we'll touch on those, and maybe we'll have follow-up episodes on the specifics of what we're going to do. But that is exactly the point, Ronnie. And I think that success is not measured in money. Money is a means to an end. It gets you something that you really value in life, whether it's family time, whether it's extra money, pay off bills, or vacations. I'll tell you, Ronnie, I've been doing this for over 22 years now. Out of those 22 years, I've only made 6 figures 2 years out of those 22 years. And I remember working my butt off those 2 years, right? I mean, I was working. But I'll tell you why I love this career. I was able to homeschool my daughter up until even now. She's being homeschooled, right? She's 13 years old now. And this career gave me the freedom, the flexibility, and the opportunity to be able to do that. That, to me, Ronnie, my daughter and I have an amazing relationship. I might even have her on the show one of these days. I think that would be fun. We have an incredible, and I was able to foster that relationship because of what this business allowed me to do, which gave me that freedom of time to make a full-time income with part-time hours, in essence. So let's not focus on the money, people. Let's not focus on 6 figures, or I'm not successful and you're making 90,000, 80, 30, and you feel like a loser, right? Success means different things for different people. And at this point, I would encourage you to maybe pause this. If you're listening to it, think about what it is that you're trying to get out of this business. What does it mean to be successful for you, not for what anybody else thinks or thinks you should be successful on?
Abraham, I just want to tell you what my most successful moment in life was, and I wish I could go back to it.
Okay.
So I've lived in other places, but I currently, through how life works, right? Live in the building. Like I said, when I make it, I want to live there.
Is that right? Okay.
And so funny, I live here now, but I went to other places before here that cost more and all these things. But I remember when I lived in my, excuse my language, my broke butt apartment, back in the day, and I was really busting my rear end. I used to drop documents to someone who lived in this particular community.
Okay.
And they worked at Fidelity, and I was one of their direct notaries, and I would drop the documents here to them every night that I had gone out and done for their boss. And I was like, God, when I make it, I want to live there. Like, that's the cool place for me. That's the made it place. Like they have a good job. He was making like 95, 110 a year. And I wanted to live there, but I could not afford it at the time, although I was busting my rear end as a notary. And, I wish I could go back. I mean, I'm not wishing that on myself because I love where I live now and I love my salary now. But success was actually working. It was knowing what I was doing, having people trust me.
Yeah.
I was always the early morning guy, and success to me was, so my life back then, I lived in a small community apartment that was kind of like Melrose Place, and all the neighbors were great. It was kind of like an in-between, like, college to adult life apartment. Everyone wound up getting married and moving in with their significant other, like during the whole 5 years that I lived there. And everyone loved my job, even though they didn't understand it, because I was the guy that woke up at like 7:30, did like 3 signings, and then came home and sold things on Amazon that I bought in gift shop or thrift shops and stuff. And I would make extra money that way. They didn't know how I worked so little, but I was making more money than them.
Right.
And I would be at the pool every day at 3:30, 4 o'clock, getting my tan on and drinking a cocktail so that I could get up and, do it again the next morning and do the gym and do all the things. I was living the best life. And, as I climbed the ladder of success, a lot of people go, Ronnie, you're so successful. This big signing agency, you have Notary Stars, you have your website design business. As I climbed that ladder of success, there were less and less time for my family. I will tell you that part of my divorce was because I didn't have enough time to put into the relationship. And I have no regrets on that. I mean, there were other reasons, we don't want to go down that road,
Right.
but I have no regrets of being divorced at this point. I mean, sure, I probably would have been able to sort that relationship out if I had the time, but I didn't have time to put into a relationship. So success sometimes brings things, and what other people deem as success brings things into your life that you don't need. I didn't need to give up this much time. And I'm starting now, you have to constantly groom yourself as a business owner. I'm starting to learn to be at my desk 9 to 6 and not have to be here. I've got a great team around me, but sometimes you lose things as you get successful, and you may not want those. It may not be invited in your life. You may just want to be part-time and live by the pool and have a cocktail and visit with your friends and get married and do all the things that lots of people want to do with their lives. And that is success. That is actually, I feel more successful than I do now, to be honest. And that's something I have to live with, because I built this mountain I climbed the mountain on my own. But when you get to the top, you know what they say, it's lonely there.
Yeah.
So as you build more money, more problems, you lose. So where is success? And when do you know when to stop with success?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I think the answer is knowing what your values are, knowing what you as yourself, as an individual, find important in life. Only you can judge that. And let's just be clear, and we'll get into the steps of what it means, how we become successful as notaries, and we'll do that quickly. But there's nothing wrong with making money. Making money is phenomenal. I mean, making money means you're helping a lot of people and you're just getting paid for that help, as long as you're doing it honestly. But I think you're right, Ronnie. If you're not clear on what it is you value, whether it's family, whether it's time, whether it's money is a value for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll end up just chasing what other people determine as successful, and which is what we're seeing a lot on social media. And that's not necessarily the case. for everybody. In fact, it usually isn't. And whatever success means to you is personal, is important, is sacred, and you should treat it that way. But to help you achieve whatever success means to you, let's talk about what we could do, Ronnie, as notaries to become more successful and whatever we determine to be success. I know we talked about it in your blog. By the way, for those of you who want to check that blog out, you can go to notarystars.com/blog, and it'll also be in the show notes. For those of you who are driving and don't want to have to write that down, you can always go back and get to the show notes. But we were talking about a few things. We were talking about perfecting our craft, researching our market, getting clients, diversifying. Let's walk through those, Ronnie. What did you mean by that when in relationship to building your business and being successful as a notary?
So the very first thing is, I encourage notaries to stop watching YouTube and listening to Facebook to start researching their market, right? YouTube videos are designed to sell you things. Self included, you included, we're all selling something, right? To be honest, let's just lay it out. YouTube videos that say I make this much, this much, this much, get those out. They're just trying to sell you something. What you want to do is analyze. The first thing is, am I in a good area for this? And even if you're in a bad area, like with only a few notaries, that's okay. But you want to analyze your population. The bigger the city, the better the opportunity it's going to be for you to, if you want to hit six figures, or if you just need extra money to hit those goals.
Right.
The smaller the population, it's going to be harder. And you're probably going the lower your population goes, the more chances you are going to need a second job or something else to rely on. It's not going to be that great for you. So you want to analyze your 25-mile radius, because that's about what the average notary is willing to travel. And usually only the ones further out are willing to go up to 25 miles. If you're in a highly populated area, your bubble is going to be smaller.
Yeah,
it's just true. You live in Los Angeles, it's 45 minutes around the block just at lunchtime. So
got a 5-mile radius there.
That's the first thing, is just analyze, your populations. Smaller areas don't necessarily mean to do bad. I know people who live up towards Sedona and Flagstaff, and it's very touristy with ski resorts and sure. People traveling, and those notaries do really well because the people traveling sign things while they're gone. They're closing on real estate because, let's face it, rich people have money to travel and sign while they're gone. So being in a tourist area is also really well. But I also encourage notaries to go to notaryresume.com. This is like part 2 of that.
Okay.
And put in your zip code where you physically live and look at how many notaries are around you. The more you see, the more opportunity you have. Okay. You may think that, sure, you're going to have competition,
right? But
how good is the competition? If you see 20, 30, 40 notaries, that's not a lot. There are 625 notaries who have their profiles filled out properly within my mile radius, within my 25-mile radius. And I do just fine. And when I lived in LA, there were even more. So the more faces you see doing the actual job,
it's a good sign.
Yeah,
it's definitely a good sign. Yeah.
If you're in a rural area, don't let that turn you off either, because that means you could probably make bank charging more if you're the only one of 3. And what I've noticed is that a lot of times when there's only like 3 to 20, they all have part-time jobs. And so depending on when your part-time job is, you might work at night and be available all day, or work in just the evening and be available all day for closings. So you can charge a little bit more because you're the only one. Right. So you have to be able to think about these things like logically, not just let someone tell you that you're going to make so much money. The third thing, Abraham, is, and this is something that I've always done when I move to a new area, is I just pretend to be a member of the general public, and I contact other notaries and I ask them, how much would it be for a single document? And then if I'm in Phoenix, I would call Scottsdale and ask, how far would it be? How much would you charge me to travel here? Call that Levine and ask all the areas around and get a depiction of different documents and I-9 and all these things. And then you don't have to book the appointment. You can just call and ask, how much are you charging? So you can get a viable idea of what you can actually charge in your area. And kind of, you want to come in with a price that's undercutting, but also has value for you.
Right.
One thing that I think people don't do enough of is contacting like title and escrow and realtors and asking like, what do you look for in a notary? Do you have a signing service? What do you require in order to work with your company? And what do I need to do to have you trust me with your work? Instead of calling and asking for work, interview them and ask them, what do I need to do to prove to you that I care about your business and that want to help your business grow by being a vendor for your business? You can't always just call and ask for work. Sometimes you have to call and say, how can I help you? Like, seriously, tell me, like, do you want me to take more training? Do you want me to, come and learn about you and your clients? Do you want me to, sit in with you on some signings? Do you want to go to lunch and tell me about your kind of clientele? Everybody has a different kind of clientele. Some title companies go for like high-end $1 million properties. Some of them go for people flipping houses. Some of them only do reverse mortgages.
Mobile homes, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to learn how to talk to your clients and say, what do you need from me? What kind of training do you need to know? What kind of files do I need to expect from you? Should you ever want to work with me? And take that away. Don't ask for work right then and there. Take that away and make sure you have it the next time you come and say, you know what? I took what you said and I really went and looked at, my resume. And now I have a resume that I'd like to turn into you. I've done that 3 times and gotten 3 clients out of it. Now that's before we took off. When I started taking my resume seriously,
let me tell you something about that. So I just had Kendra Lewis on the show, the episode right before this. And that's one of the things she was saying is when trying to get direct business, it's about building relationships. It's about making the time to get to know them and understand their pressure. I mean, she was saying how, the title gets blamed for everything from everyone, and they're under so much pressure. And to have a notary come in and that they can feel truly understands them and is trying to look out for them. This is one of those ways, right? To figure out what can I do for you to make your life easier, in a sense, I think goes a very long way. So I just wanted to point that out. It's a point that Kendra made, and I think it's a great point you're making.
It's amazing. Before we go to that number 5 there, I want to tell you this, and I think this is goes right along the same vein there, is that when you walk into a title company, right? Like, let's just take title companies, because you can walk into an attorney, you can walk into things. When your course says, make 6 figures, and that's their thing. Like Notary Stars, our theme is signing agent excellence. Like, we want to provide you excellence. When you walk in and you say, I'm here to make 6 figures. Can you give me work? Do you have any work for me? That's not a resume. No. And it's not a good resume. It's not a good look. And we've talked about this before. Desperation is not a good look. I know we all need to make money, but we also need to realize what we're doing here. As a signing agent, especially when we're working in title and escrow, we are an extension of someone's book of business. Their book of business is how realtors get paid. They're how they get paid. That's how they put a roof over their head. And you can't just walk in and fake it till you make it. If you sign the wrong client, the wrong realtor changes title companies, they lose their book of business, they lose their job.
Yeah.
And there, that's why we are so adamant about signing agent excellence and how important it is, even if you're part-time. And that'll kind of lead into the next point is you have to decide, that step number 5 of, analyzing this industry is deciding, are you a part-time notary? Are you a full-time notary? Or are you a seasonal notary? And yes, seasonal notaries are a thing. I tell you, being a notary at the end of the year where there's a lot of business is equally as valued and even better than wrapping presents at the mall, which is a thing for the retirees.
Sure. But
no matter what level you're doing it, doesn't matter if you're going for $10,000 a year or 100,000 plus a year, being excellent at your job is that never-ending tank of gas that's going to get you to your, and I said there's no destination, it's going to be the never-ending tank of gas that's going to take you on your journey.
Right.
Being excellent at your job, knowing all the loan products, understanding general notary work, knowing how to fill out a notarial certificate, all of those things, that we teach under the roof of Notary Stars for the low price of $29.95 a month, $59.95 a month if you want to do the marketing as well. You have to know your job. It still comes back to that. And You know, I don't know about you, Abraham, but this career has given me everything I've ever wanted.
Sure.
Everything I've ever wanted and more. Sometimes too much of what I wanted. I mean, I've learned to settle myself down, you know, in my older age here. Don't let the beard dye and Botox fool you and the Zoom filter. I mean, I'm all man under all these layers, but it's given me everything I've ever wanted and more. And I want that for more notaries. And sometimes when I say everything I've ever wanted and more, at the time in my life when I only did 2 or 3 signings a day and was at the pool and got to spend time with friends and meet someone and get married, that was success for me. That was all I really ever needed, was to just be comfortable and live in a place that was healthy. And I miss that. You know, now that I climbed into this level of success, sometimes I look back and go, maybe I should have stopped there. You know, but I felt that pressure pushing me, you know, pushing me to gain more success. And I traded a lot for success. So, and I'm learning to balance it now. I have a great business coach. I have a great, you know, personal therapist and all those things. But I have to tell you, success, what got me to that level and to this level, whether it be the Ronnie that sat by the pool after 3:30 and enjoyed his neighbor's company and got to date and do all of those things, or the Ronnie that, you know, stays up from 5 to 3 a.m. sometimes working. What got me to any level that I wanted to be at was knowing my job like the back of my hand.
Absolutely.
That's how I got to any of those levels.
Yeah. And let's leave it at this, Ronnie, because I think this is a good point to finish at. It doesn't matter how many notaries we have in the industry. It doesn't matter how many notaries you find on notaryresume.com in your area. If you, and I think this is a takeaway, right? And success and making money are not the same thing. We need to make sure that there's a difference between that, right?
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah, it's not the same, right? And making lots of money doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy and full of joy. Success should be pursuing joy and happiness in your life, whatever that means to you. But knowing your craft, if you do what Ronnie, and I think that's why Ronnie did Notary Stars, right? And I've heard such good things about Notary Stars, Ronnie, and I can't wait for us to do that review video of what you have to offer. But the way you're able to teach people in a simplistic way to help them get better at their craft is gonna, you'd be amazed, Ronnie, at how many bad notaries there are out there. That, and I'm sure you know this, but look, we'll leave you with this. In your business as notaries, your first goal should be to perfect your craft and have pride in what you do. You will beat 80% of most notaries if you simply answer your phone and do a good job when you're notarizing something. That's it. You can dismiss the other 80%, in my opinion. Once you can figure that out, then I think Ronnie's absolutely correct. You will be, what's the saying? The good goldfish always float to the top, or something like that. But anyway, the point is master your craft and you'll never be without a job, in my opinion. So, but anyway, Ronnie, that's really good. Anything you want to wrap up with, Ronnie, before we take off?
Yes. You know, I also want to suggest that you and I do another podcast soon about marketing the notary business, because now we kind of talked about success. And I think no matter what level you're on, you always need to know how to market, you know, for the business. And I wrote this in the blog and I hope people will read it, but, you know, marketing your business, no matter what level you want to be at, is
right.
Kind of like farming. You know, let's take it back to a simpler job, or actually that's not a simple job, it's a hard job, but take it back to a simpler time before all the, you know, the ability to do what we do now. If you don't plant seeds, then you're not going to eat in the future. And marketing is a lot like farming. You know,
yes.
You have to plant the seeds for what you want to come back to. And so, you know, I do have a marketing course and all those things, but there are some things that I'd like to talk about when it comes to marketing, because I feel like notaries are being drowned by all these 6-figure videos, and they're forgetting that they need to market their business and drown out those videos. You know, I think a lot of notaries' competitors are the videos about becoming a notary out there. And I've actually seen title and escrow officers that would rather go to SnapDocs and pay $60 a signing because they're sick of notaries bragging about how much they make. Seriously, you don't want to walk in. Most escrow officers don't make six figures. So why are you going to go in and be on a YouTube channel and brag about how much money you make and then walk in and tell, a title and escrow officer that they need to give you work?
Wait, that's the thing, Ronnie? People actually do
That's
this?
absolutely a thing. Yes. I actually have an escrow company that told me that is the one reason that they use SnapDocs, because they want to put it out for the cheapest amount possible, because she actually said, if I have to tell one more of my escrow officers that the notary is making more money than they are, I can't do that. And so you've got to be careful with getting on the internet and bragging about money. So I would love to talk about taking back that conversation as a notary and using the internet to educate your clients. Number one, to get found, but number two, using social media to drown out the noise of make six figures and bring more customers to yourself. I think we should be using social media as a collective to talk about the products and services we can offer the general public, why we're important for the general public. Also talking about, our experiences as loan signing agents and what we can do during that experience for the title companies. We need to be making more to combat all these courses, and everybody thinks that you have to have like this outgoing personality. In my course, I teach how to do it with Canva, and you don't even have to be on camera.
Right.
So I'd love to do an episode with you on that as well. I know that we're going to talk about doing a walkthrough of Notary Stars, but I'd love to give some words and wisdom advice about marketing your notary business to your viewers as well.
Absolutely. And what we'll do is, for those of you who are Patreon members, we'll put a poll out and we'll kind of figure out what exactly about marketing you guys would like to learn and know about. And then based on that, we'll figure out what would be the best topic for that. But I think that would be phenomenal in terms of marketing. And I'll say this about marketing, we'll end it at this. I think marketing ultimately has two purposes. One is to let people know who you are and what you do, so that when they're ready to buy from you, to use you, to get you to do the work for them, they know where you're at. Your job is just let them know you exist, not to get them to buy from you or use you, but just your job is just for them to know you exist. They'll come to you when they are ready. And that may mean you may have dropped off a business card, or you may have done a social media post, and you may not see the results of that until a year, 2, maybe 3 years later. But that's okay. That's the part of what Ronnie was just saying about planting seeds. It doesn't grow overnight. It takes time. Mm-hmm. And part of your job, while your prospects are getting to know who you are, not using you, but maybe in the future, is to build trust and get them to like you. But if you're pushing them, if you're using high sales tactics, if you're being aggressive, do you think anyone's going to like and trust somebody who's doing that with them? Absolutely not. So your goal is to be honest, come across as genuine, and wait and be patient for them to be ready to use you when they're ready. If you take that attitude about marketing, it changes everything, in my opinion. What do you think, Ronnie? I think absolutely. I just talked to Travis about this earlier today. If you guys don't know, Travis is my business partner, but he said, you have that magic, you're able to sell like to our clients, and we were talking about, our sales reps and everything and how well we've done this year. And I told Travis, I said, yeah, but it's the one that I have a client that they told me, like, don't come here anymore. We're not going to use you. Yeah. And I had planted that seed, and it was about a year after that conversation that their assistant went and worked at one of the offices we do service for like a cover. And she came back and said, we will either use them or I'm going to quit, because this office runs so much better using this service. And they started using us, and I had planted the seed, like they might have gone over and not known who we were, but they were like, no, this guy really does do what he says he's going to do. Yeah. I want to get us wrapped up. I know we could go on and on and on, but it is about planting seeds with marketing, and it's you reap what you sow, right? Absolutely. This is not a turnkey business.
is very little investment. The training is very little compared to, it doesn't take that long to become an excellent signing agent. But you do have to train. You have to train legitimately on lots of different things. And then marketing, you do have to market. If you're going to survive off signing agencies, you won't survive very long. You have to know how to market yourself to signing agencies, direct title, to the general public, to attorneys, to all of the things that you can do with that notary stamp. And if you have other things interwoven with that, great, but you have to know how to market. You have to make those efforts or you won't get a return.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Great way to end it. And I want to share one last thing. A lot of people might not know this, but Ronnie and I, we're business partners. We do these podcasts. We've actually never met in person, believe it or not. We're on the phone and on camera, Zooming all the time. But my wife, her birthday's coming up. She wants to go to Sedona. So I said, you know what? What an amazing opportunity to go visit Ronnie and Travis. So pretty soon, I think you guys will see a selfie of us finally together in person. I'm so excited. So Ronnie, I can't wait to have.
I'm gonna have to get like a Mac makeup artist to come over and make me look like I do on Zoom with a filter. I'm gonna see if I can find like a little glass that I can hold around and be like, hey Abraham, this is the guy that you think you're meeting.
Stop it, Ronnie. Anyway, well, hey guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you guys learned a lot. Stay tuned for a marketing episode that Ronnie and I will probably have in the future. And until next time, take care. Be well and stay productive. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Notary Business Talk. To learn more about becoming a notary entrepreneur or to find out how Abraham can help you achieve your business goals, visit notarybusinesstalk.com.